Hello, folks. It is Mitch Boyle, Triple Double Sports Cards. This go round, we continue. I will call it part two of 81-82 Tops, where we got 88 cards back from PSA graded. I'm showing you the highlights. And I guess the good story here is that when I got a notification from PSA that they had to up my rates, it meant they got grades better than I thought. And furthermore, it means that Topps 81-82, in this case Magic Johnson, those prices have gone up even since I submitted them, which was back in April. So let's go ahead and jump into these. Along with that, I will say that I am going to also look at some 80-81, which is the tri-panel, the Bird Magic Irving rookie card, if you will, as part of today's presentation. And then please wait to the end, because I've got a purchase from 1991 of some sets of 80-81, and I think you'll be interested to see what I paid for those and what a set, or at least some of those cards, might be worth right now. So let's start off with 1981-82 Topps Magic Johnson, second year card, and this is the first full card, of course. This card, almost impossible to get as a 10. As a matter of fact, this 8 is really quite nice. The problem with the 6 here, I'll zoom in a little bit. You're going to see some really weak corners here. They're pretty soft. That upper left-hand one was the problem here. So in any event, that's where we got the 6. Here's the good news. The 8s are worth $350 or so a piece. And even the 6 is now, the last price I saw is, I want to say it was over 120 bucks. So not bad at all. All right. So I think I've got about maybe 10, although I got 18 back, but I just, again, wanted to show you a bit of a cross section and have some discussion about these. So we did get our first 9, and the 9s are going anywhere from, I saw recently, 1,200 bucks to as high as, I want to say, $1,700. What's interesting about the stain here, if you will, I really couldn't find it. Usually that means there's a wax stain somewhere. Unless it's on the back of the card and I look closely, I could not see it. I'll show you right now. It's a little hard to see with the glare, but I can't see it. So I'm going to have to do a further review on that. An 8 with a stain would probably be $1.25. If I can find where the issue is, I might be able to, take it off and get it regraded, which would probably be worth it. All right, so I always like to do this. I always like to look at the 8 and the 9 and try to look at comparable ones, but I think the story here is pretty simple. The 9, not perfectly centered, as you can see, mostly top to bottom isn't perfect. The corners are super, super sharp. Here's the problem with the 8, and it's an ongoing issue with this card, and again, I think why it gets such high command when it comes to price. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see this stain mark right here can run all the way. You actually can see a little bit right there, can't you? And then it can also run down here as far as the very bottom of the card. So that's why that got an 8. Frankly, I bought these cards, like I said, way back in the early 90s, and I tried to avoid that as much as possible. I am shocked that in many cases, those aren't even downgraded further. We've got another 8 and we've got another 9. In this particular case, again, you're going to see in that lower left-hand corner, there's a little bit of that staining that I talked about. But I'm going to say outside of maybe the corners not being perfectly sharp here, that's probably why that didn't get a 10. And you guys probably know by now that those 10s are getting 5 figures. So I want one. I actually have submitted quite a few additional 81-82 Topps Magic, and Bird for that matter. I mentioned we would jump to the tri-panels from 1980 Topps, and here come those. I love this card a lot. Obviously, Julius and Magic are on it. The 8s are the 8s in the $250 to $300 range. Honestly, I'm going to turn these sideways just so you can get a better look. I'm not sure if it's going to fit full frame for both of these. It looks like it is. It's usually a centering thing, but both of these are really centered super nice. There's no print mark on the bottom. I have to believe it's a corners thing. I'm going to magnify if I can a little bit. Yeah, it's a little hard to see here, but Anyway, the bottom line is that I'm going to believe that we had some soft corners there, and that was the issue with these particular two. We'll look at a couple more. I'll put these horizontally again. Yeah, you can see these. So I've got a 9 here, but unfortunately it's off center. So the corners must have been razor sharp, and the off center is not that bad. This is the kind of card that I would like to send to BGS, because what I would get is I'd probably get an 8.5 on the centering, and then I might get a bunch of 9.5s, which would push it up to a legitimate 9, which would probably mean that card is worth, I think it's $500 to $600 when that's a 9. All right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot all of these cards are all horizontal. So doing pretty good here. We've got an 8 on the Magic Johnson Maurice Cheeks. I'll call it that card because it's Mo Cheeks rookie card as well. And then you got Larry Bird's other tri-panel. I think there's 4 additional tri-panels beyond Magic and Irving with him. And I think there's 3 with Magic Johnson, which includes this one. And then Ron Boone in here on a separate one with I forget who else. But we've got an 8 and a 9 here. The 9 is worth about $250, and the 8, I just saw that pop for $115. But I really like that card because as much as I hated the 76ers because I was such a big Laker fan, you probably gathered that by watching these various videos back in the day. Mo Cheeks was really, really good, underrated for sure. We got an 8 and an 8 with a stain. I thought I did a good job looking at these and then fixing those stains. That means that this card, again, around $100 on the left with Junior Bridgman and Ron Brewer, is probably worth about $40. Might be worth me cleaning that off and then sending it back in. We'll see. The other one had Jack Sikma and Marcus Johnson. God, did Sikma make the Hall of Fame? I don't know. And I don't think Marcus Johnson did. He had an amazing college career, though. All right, so we've got 2 of the same card here. We've got an 8, which I want to say is worth $250, $300 on the left. Then we've got a 9, and I know that card's worth $550, but it's off center, so that would bring its value to probably $150, $200. And in that particular case, there's nothing I can do about it. And the off centering here is way more pronounced than that Irving Magic card, where I was questioning why that was even considered to be off center. So no issues with that. And then lastly of these tri-panel cards, I've got this one. So this is a really cool card. And obviously I think in this particular case, it's really more of a centering issue because this card is super, super sharp, as you can see. It's just more off center, left to right. And it's always hard to tell top to bottom, but it's probably a little bit off center, top to bottom. But getting a 9 in this is great. Again, it's worth $500 to $600. So no complaints about that. All right. So lastly, I mentioned, looking in my last video about some of the purchases I'd made in the past and kind of doing a calculation as to what things I purchased it for and what the going price might be right now. So as you can see, back in 1991, from Rocky Mountain Trading Card Company and Andrew Weisenfeld, who I spoke to many times on the phone, I bought several things from him. I think I bought some wax boxes, which we're going to look at next go around, or at least soon. Bought 9 of these sets at $325 a piece. And what I did just for an exercise today is I did a little calculation, and based on just the cards you saw, plus the Bird Magic Irving card, if you looked at those all as 8s, roughly speaking, the value would be $4,500, $5,000 anyway. All in is what the cards or these sets are worth a piece now. So what, 15 times more than I paid for them now, whatever that is, 30 years later. Yep, 30 years later. We are coming up almost exactly 30-year anniversary on these, 3/29/91. So anyway, fun little exercise there. Thank you so much for watching Triple Double Sports Cards. Next go round, I'm going to reveal what I paid for on a box of 80, 81 tops, which I still have in, I would call, mint condition, and a box of 87, 88 Fleer. Please tune in for that, because I think you'll be surprised what I paid for those then and some of the prices that those unopened boxes are going for now. Thanks so much for watching. Mitch Boyle, Triple Double Sports Cards.
Windshield's seen a lot of shit. Meanwhile, I haven't, cause I barely cleaned it. Let's see, shift into reverse to remember teen kids, pre-spliffs, post-bong rips. Sophomore 16, handed from dad to sister me, assisting in speed with pistons, breaking sweats. Didn't pay for gas yet, take a blunt cruise. To be blunt with you, this cruise to get booze on the island I grew.